And when you have Breath of Fire in there as well, you have a lot of good things that can go for you. Now, what Xwood is going for, though, is you sort of see that he did the first attack more or less when the orb showed up. I believe he had the level 3 Death Knight, and then it was just simply micro. Your physical damage output is very high with Orb of Corruption and with your 2 to 3 heroes. The damage output is actually quite high, and you have good possibilities for picking stuff off. And you saw him able to kill a few Dryads, but ultimately did have the Time Portal out. And now, normal conventional wisdom would say, hey, if you were just forced to portal and your opponent still has an expansion, you're losing this game. But Xlord, the macro mastermind that he is, I guess, pulls out a very huge army. You see he's now got meat wagons, he's got abominations, and right there, pow, you see Coil Nova off on the Warden. Very typical stuff. You see him blink and just rejuve himself. Now that Druid of the Claw is going to get very hurt, and you see him morph it right away, so he's not going to be in too bad a shape. But again, you see ghouls up in here. There's the Haze Fire, and it's a pretty good Haze Fire. Actually, it was a terrible Haze Fire. He only managed to actually make one Crypt Fiend miss, and so the damage output is still very, very high here. And you notice just how much damage output these Fiends and the Orb is able to do to these bears. Now, just these bears taking 12% bonus damage is pretty brutal, as you can easily tell. And these Dryads are getting dropped down by the meat wagons. You can see that they're dying very, very quickly. And you see here that these bears are just so easily killed by destroyers and proper micro. You just see bear die after bear die after bear die. And you just see, pow, there's Frost Nova, there's some more Focus Fire. Just bears getting dropped. And honestly, I feel that Moon is doing a bit of mismicroing in that he's, he tried to run his Dryads into the back and make them do lots of damage to the meat wagons and not get picked off. But sure enough, you just saw meat wagons pick off all these Dryads, and then Fiends and Heroes just pick off all the bears super, super quickly. And what Moon could have done differently? I mean, scrolls would help a little bit, sure. Using his staff better would have helped. He really only staffed one bear, and that was at the very end, from what I recall. And so he kind of just let his units die a lot. Apparently his staff's still on cooldown on his Warden, and so that Panda, desperately trying to find healing, does find some a little bit. There's the improved Moonwell right there, helping him out quite a bit. But you just see bears getting dropped. Now finally he has the capability of killing off his Lich, but he passes the Invulnerability Potion. And now you just see, again, bears getting focused. And he's going to try to pick off these meat wagons the best he can, but his heroes just apparently just aren't up to snuff. He's got 5-4-3 versus 4-4. Clearly Xlord has better heroes, and that is one of the more or less racial identities of Undead, is that they are very good at creeping. And that's one of the good things Xlord did, is he just transitioned very well between fighting and then creeping, and then fighting and then creeping. And this is one of the reasons why Night Elf players need to be going for bears faster, is because once you're able to harness rejuvenation, you can creep extremely quickly. And if you don't have that, and you have to be careful about what's tanking, and your Dryads can't tank your heroes. If they tank, are going to suck up a bunch of Moonwell juice. There's some mismicro by Moon not running his Dryads back in time. Just, it's so easy to get completely destroyed if you're not being careful. And I think he should have gotten silent. Oh, he didn't have mana. Okay. He should have silenced him. What did he do? Alright. So right here, it's game over, as you can see from the replay tab at the bottom. And it's just Xlord making the right combination of units and having big heroes. That last battle, I don't want to say it was hopeless for Moon, like, oh my god, imbalance, but Xlord outplayed him, more or less, and that's basically what happened, is there was no good opening for Moon. Now normally when I play Warden against Undead, there's usually some opening where I can pick off a hero and do some really nice damage and what have you. And there he's trying to pick off that Lich and just can't quite do it. I like the little Ring of Regeneration pass, that was kind of cute. But I mean, ultimately what's happening is Xlord didn't give him a lot of openings. There was one tough point for Xlord. His harass wasn't very good, and secondarily he lost all his Fiends and all his ghouls too, and was forced to Town Portal out on his low HP Death Knight. But Moon had really wasted his micromanagement so much by constantly casting what's it called, Shadow Strike on the Lich, and that's going to get counteracted so easily by Unholy Aura, Natural Health Regen, Hero Resistance, and Statues. I mean, ultimately, if you actually just watch the hit point gain, it basically drops from getting Shadow Struck, and then just ticked back up, and ticked back up, and ticked back up. And I'm pretty certain that the DPS, just the ticks on Shadow Strike, are less damage than the statue healing, And over time, with regeneration and with hero resistance and whatnot, you end up seeing the Lich ultimately not taking damage from Shadow Strike, and he's just wasting it. I mean, this hatch is going to hit 6 units, and a good elf player is going to focus fire 1 unit at a time. And okay, yeah, multiple things will get hit by Breath of Fire, and hopefully the Haze Fire debuff, so you might see that the damage, some of that damage not mitigated because you've got extra targets taking damage, but wasting a Shadow Strike on a Lich that's not going to do anything is really, really useless. If you go for a Crypt Fiend, then yeah, maybe do something like Shadow Strike and focus the Crypt Fiend, and basically what he's got to do is he has to coil the Crypt Fiend almost right away or it dies. Okay, you've got a front end of damage of let's say you've got 3/3 heroes and you've got 150 from Shadow Strike. You've got about 150 from Breath of Fire. That's already roughly at the mark where the Crypt Fiend's at about 200 health, and he's gonna have to get coiled really soon. You've got Dryads each doing maybe 12 damage per hit, and then so you've got like 5 Dryads. That's 60 damage. Now it really is time to coil that Crypt Fiend. He's basically taking that 400 damage that you need, and then okay, the coil hits and it's on cooldown, and now you've got the DPS from Slow Poison from every single target, 4 damage every time. You've got, I think, like 14 damage per second from the Haze burning, and you've got 10 damage per second because it's 30 every 3 seconds from Shadow Strike, in addition to the regular damage output adding on, and you will basically kill that Crypt Fiend within the span of the 6 seconds it takes to cool down another Shadow Strike. And then you move on to the next one, and Shadow Strike will cool around the same time Coil does, so you Shadow Strike a Fiend and you go after and maybe he'll coil it, but again you have the damage output that allows you to kill that Fiend. And if he has Dust, or sorry, if he has Burrow, just make sure you purchase Dust on your hero. Yeah, it sucks to have another item slot sucked up when you need to be holding potions and boots and scrolls and a staff and whatever, but I mean honestly, this game seems to be, especially with Warden, I think, the thing is, a Warden is not a Blade Master. A Blade Master is a hero that you really need them just to have damage at him after damage at him after damage at him. Claws, Circlets, Gloves of Haste, what have you. Just his inventory is probably going to be full of damage output, and maybe an invulnerability potion. A Warden is not so much. A Warden has probably the best offensive spells in the game. The best offensive hero in the game, period. Yeah, okay, he doesn't have a stun like a Mountain King. Okay, he doesn't have an AoE stun like a Tauren Chieftain, doesn't have the technical AoE damage that a Tauren Chieftain might have with Shockwave, or even Chain Lightning. Actually, I think FOK might outdamage Chain Lightning. It doesn't really even have the mana reserves that a Death Knight or something under Brilliant Sword might have. But it has